India's social discrimination is an incredibly complex issue deeply rooted in its history, religion, and cultural background. This discrimination manifests in every aspect of life and continues to evolve in modern society. Caste, gender, religion, skin color, economic status, language, regional disparities, and attitudes toward LGBTQ+ individuals all reflect various forms of inequality. Moreover, these issues are intertwined, creating a deeply layered social structure. To fully understand this phenomenon, it is crucial to explore the historical origins, contemporary expressions, and long-term impacts of these issues in greater depth. Caste discrimination is one of the oldest and most entrenched forms of inequality in Indian society. It dates back thousands of years to the Manusmriti, which first categorized society into four main castes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. These castes were initially based on occupational roles, but eventually solidified into a rigid hierarchical structure. Those excluded from the system, the Dalits, often referred to as untouchables, were relegated to menial and impure tasks like cleaning sewers, handling dead bodies, or cremating corpses. This system tied a person's social status to their birth, eliminating the possibility of upward mobility. Even today, caste discrimination is widespread, particularly in rural areas. Many villages still maintain strict caste segregation. Upper castes reside in central areas, while lower castes and Dalits are confined to the outskirts. Dalits are often barred from using wells used by upper castes, entering temples, or participating in religious events. If Dalits challenge these traditional rules, they may face beatings or be forced to leave the village altogether. In schools, Dalit students often face isolation and harassment. In some cases, they are even forced to perform janitorial duties instead of receiving an education. Caste-based violence is alarmingly frequent. For example, Dalit families have been attacked for wearing luxurious clothing or attempting to enter upper caste areas. Although the Indian government has implemented affirmative action policies, such as caste-based reservations in education and employment, these measures have had limited success in altering societal attitudes. Dalits remain trapped in low-income, low-status jobs, unable to fully integrate into mainstream society. Gender discrimination in India is equally pervasive and systemic, affecting women's lives from birth onward. One of the most severe issues is sex-selective abortion. Deeply ingrained preferences for male children have led many families to terminate pregnancies upon learning the fetus is female. This has caused a significant gender imbalance in the population. According to the 2011 census, some regions report as few as 850 women for every 1,000 men. Even after birth, girls face numerous challenges. Many rural families view girls as financial burdens because they will eventually marry and leave the household. Consequently, girls are often denied educational opportunities and forced to drop out of school to perform household chores or care for siblings. Child marriage remains common, despite being illegal. Many girls in rural areas are married off in their early teens to much older men. These young brides face severe health risks, including early pregnancy and malnutrition, while losing any chance of pursuing education or personal development. In urban areas, women's prospects are somewhat better but remain constrained. Workplace gender discrimination is widespread. Women's labor force participation has steadily declined over the past 2 decades, now standing at just 20%. Women in the workforce often earn significantly less than men, and many are relegated to low-paying, informal sectors. Fields such as technology and management are particularly male-dominated, with women struggling to break through the glass ceiling. Sexual harassment is another pervasive issue, with many women hesitating to report incidents for fear of retaliation or damage to their professional reputations. Domestic violence is a significant problem affecting women across India. According to data from the National Crime Records Bureau, tens of thousands of domestic violence cases are reported each year, and many more go unreported. In some instances, women are abused or even killed over dowry disputes. Although laws banning dowry exist, the practice persists in many regions. Religious discrimination is another widespread issue in both historical and contemporary India. Hinduism is the dominant religion, accounting for over 80% of the population, while Muslims form the largest minority at around 15%. However, Muslims are often marginalized in various aspects of life. In some cities, Muslims face difficulties renting homes in Hindu-majority neighborhoods, as landlords fear they might disturb community harmony. This housing discrimination forces many Muslims to live in segregated communities, deepening social divisions. In the job market, Muslims experience higher unemployment rates than Hindus and are underrepresented in high-paying industries. Some right-wing extremists openly promote Hindu supremacy, seeking to marginalize Muslims further through laws and policies. For instance, the Citizenship Amendment Act, TAE, of 2019 sparked widespread controversy, as it was seen as explicitly excluding Muslims. Nationwide protests against the CA highlighted the deep mistrust and divisions between religious communities. Religious violence is a long-standing issue in India. From the 1947 partition of India and Pakistan to the 2002 Gujarat riots, religious conflicts have led to hundreds of thousands of deaths and countless displaced families. These conflicts continue to occur, particularly in rural areas where land disputes or cultural clashes between Hindu and Muslim communities can escalate into violence. Skin color discrimination is a subtle yet pervasive problem in Indian society. Fair skin is often associated with beauty, nobility, and success, a perception rooted in both the caste system and colonial history. In the caste hierarchy, higher castes were traditionally described as fair-skinned, while lower castes and Dalits were portrayed as darker-skinned. The British colonial period further reinforced the idea that lighter skin was superior. Today, this bias is most evident in the marriage market. Many matrimonial advertisements explicitly seek fair-skinned brides, while darker-skinned women face significant discrimination. India's fairness cream market is one of the largest globally, with advertisements directly linking fair skin to beauty, success, and happiness. This not only reinforces skin color prejudice, but also negatively affects the mental health of darker-skinned individuals, especially women. Economic discrimination is starkly visible in the form of wealth inequality and rural-urban disparities. India is one of the most unequal countries in the world, with the top 1% of the population owning nearly 60% of the country's wealth, while the bottom 50% own virtually nothing. In urban areas, slums epitomize this inequality. In places like Mumbai's Dharavi slum, millions live in cramped, unsanitary conditions with limited access to clean water or education. These residents often work in the lowest-paying, most hazardous jobs, with little hope of improving their circumstances. In rural areas, the situation is even bleaker. Many villages lack basic infrastructure such as electricity, clean drinking water, and healthcare services. Educational facilities are woefully inadequate, with many rural schools facing severe teacher shortages and lacking essential resources. This systemic neglect perpetuates the cycle of poverty, leaving rural populations with few opportunities for upward mobility. The LGBTQ+ community faces some of the most severe forms of social marginalization. Although homosexuality was decriminalized in 2018, societal acceptance remains low. Many LGBTQ+ individuals face rejection from their families, with some being subjected to physical abuse or forced marriages. Transgender individuals, in particular, face extreme discrimination, often resorting to begging or sex work as their only means of livelihood. They are denied access to most mainstream job opportunities, further isolating them economically and socially. Overall, discrimination in India is a deeply intertwined network of historical, cultural, and economic issues. Each form of discrimination influences and exacerbates the others, creating a rigid social structure that resists change. Addressing these problems requires a multifaceted approach, including societal awareness, legal reforms, educational initiatives, and economic policies that empower marginalized groups. Though the path to equality is long and challenging, incremental progress offers hope for a more inclusive future.